Good evening and happy Monday, everybody. I just had a random Chrome crash, and there's two of me now. And I don't know why that happened. And all I've got to say is, while sometimes they're convenient, I hate computers. Been thinking about life, the universe, and everything, and now I've got to share my insights with you. Thinking about this moment that we find ourselves in, this moment of a little bit of chaos, a little bit of disorder, a lot of bit of people not knowing what to do or where to go, and especially especially thinking back to the amount of time we spent on a single topic last week and the discussions of some of the new things that appear to be happening. And Hmm. so, what's going on here? Well, I think we found ourselves in a position at the end of Christendom, and I'm hardly at all original for pointing this out. This has been something that has been a settled, established historical fact. I think probably for all of us, really. We could look at the Great War as the final nail in the coffin in on that. But much as in medieval Europe, they continually looked back to the Roman Empire for inspiration about how they were to live and longing for maybe a little bit of a return there. I don't think the dreams and the desires of what we had in Christendom have entirely departed from the hearts of men, that we want to go back to that. Um, I think some of the problems that we're dealing with come from this desire for a Christendom without Christ. Uh, there's a fun Flannery O'Connor novel, Wise Blood, where the main character Hazel Moat tries to start a church without Christ. And I think there are people who are trying for Christendom without Christ. I think it's actually a little easier to see on one side than the other. So we'll start with the one side. The one side being a lot of the progressive ideologies that we have encountered and which were, as far as I can tell, at their zenith between 2020 and 2022, and maybe have fallen off a little bit from their peak. Uh, these progressive ideologies and this kind of continual liberation from what, who knows, but this urge and this drive towards continual liberation. You see that in the redefinition of the human person, especially around marriage and the use of our reproductive capabilities, uh, probably called woke, right? And there's this idea that's present there of infinite inclusion, that there's everything, we can include everything, we can have, everybody together. We can bring the whole world into one and all live together peacefully. This is actually a dream, or maybe a bit of a memory of Christendom there, because Christendom was, to a certain imperfect uh, realization of this. Christendom had the capability of bringing different nations together. And for a while, in certain places, it did actually manage to do this, even if, for the most part, on the European continent, and only in those places where there were European colonies could we talk about Christendom. But for a time, there was something that could draw the Englishman and the Spaniard and the Frank and a German speaking person and an Italian and a Russian all together. And that's no small feat right there. That is no thing to shake your, to sneeze at, basically. Um, it seems like this dream of infinite, indefinite inclusion is an attempt at Christendom without Christ. You never hear people saying these things who seem to have a real serious commitment, a real serious commitment that would give them the impetus to submit to a higher authority. So that's one way of seeing a Christendom without Christ. They're not capable of submitting themselves to Christ, but they still want this dream of infinite order here. I think there's another way that people can be dreaming about Christendom without Christ, and that another way is thinking back to the beautiful order of the cosmos that that Christianity provides. You've got an entirely ordered way of thinking about the world. You've got an entirely ordered way of putting people into their place in the world. We put our Lord at the very top, and gradations of hierarchy and structures of mediation there, and especially in a very chaotic world where this attempt and this dream at infinite inclusion has taken over a fair bit. You might want to look at the order of the world that is provided by Christianity and bring that in there. But that's the thing, is that order only works when you're inside of it. That order only works when you submit to it and participate in it. You can see, people say the funniest things, like I'm a cultural Christian, as if just merely having a cultural attachment to Christianity and an appreciation from it is going to be enough, and like that's how Christendom was built, is that there were people who were, culturally Christian, and that is not, in my mind, how Christendom was built. As far as I'm concerned, Christendom, for all of its glories and all of its flaws, was built by Christians. It was built by people who had received the yoke of Christ, who had taken seriously the call to conversion, who had continually dedicated themselves to the worship of God and to the communion with their fellow saints here on earth. And that is what built Christendom in its first iteration there. It was not built with flying buttresses first. The center and the sanctuary was built first. And, I'm not really convinced that the plan of the church, that the plan of the Christendom really includes flying buttresses on the outside, that it was built on the inside. So perhaps you appreciate Christendom. Perhaps you think that there's been a lot that was lost that you would like to see come back. And that's okay. If you want to see that back, if you want to see the return of Christendom, and you cannot have that without faith in Christ and participation in the church that he has founded. At least that's far as I can tell. So we've got Mark sounding off in the comments there, but I think that's the end of my my little rant, and so we'll welcome Mr. Jacob here to the stream.
Hello, Father.
Hello, Jacob. How you doing?
Good. Have you met my dog, Lucky?
Not in person.
This is my dog, Lucky.
Well, he looks pretty lucky to be well fed and well cared for. So, thanks be to God for that.
Amen.
Yeah. So You want to be a part of Christendom, Jacob?
I prefer Christendom to the alternative.
Okay, well, there we go.
And depends what you mean by Christendom. I mean, I like to remind my Christian friends that the word Christ is the Greek version of the Hebrew Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I certainly look forward to the rule of the Messiah.
Yes, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. We are both looking forward to the coming of the Messiah. It's just a small arithmetic issue that separates us. Whether there's one or two here, no great worries about that.
They're both single-digit numbers. What's the difference? But I have to object, Father, to this talking down of flying buttresses. Obviously, the pinnacle of all architecture and engineering. I don't.
It doesn't bother you that it's French.
No, not even a little bit. They had to get something right, even if by accident, and yeah, happens.
Okay, well, I am very conservative and very Roman, and the Roman style does not have flying buttresses. All of the support comes from the inside.
They weren't going as high. That's the difference. That's really the only difference too, because it's really their tech just replicated.
Father, I have a question.
Sure.
Is Gamaliel a Catholic saint? I know he's an Eastern Orthodox saint.
Oh, goodness. Nobody's ever asked me that before. This calls for a trip to Catholic.org.
You should look that up, Father. While I lament not being able to find the church in D.C. that has the flying buttresses.
I think that's the Episcopalian church.
I don't think it's the Episcopalian one. I looked at that one.
It's not the National Cathedral?
No, it wasn't the National Cathedral. It was smaller than that. I remember looking this up before and not finding it. But I know I went when I was a kid and I was like, oh, cool, flying buttresses in the U.S. Because I just love flying buttresses.
What exactly is a flying buttress?
It's basically an arch usually from the middle of the wall. It looks like it's from the middle of the wall. It's not. But it's an arch that goes outside of the church. And so you have this skeletal structure that extends past the walls to hold the walls up, basically. And then usually what happens is they stack them for the tall buildings. So they've got one row here that's really wide, and then another row that's half as wide, and then sometimes a third row. And that's just to hold the walls together. They're basically just arches, effectively, from an engineering look. But they look really pretty because it makes the church look like it's flying. Right? They look like wings off the side of the church. So if you look up flying buttress, you'll find all kinds of unbelievably gorgeous examples of this architectural style. And the fact that you can stack arches like that, you can have arches who's 1 foot on the wall, 1 foot in the middle of the arch below it, and they stack, and it works, and it's really cool because it's a very cool way to get a lot of light, still through your windows, because all the early churches, the whole key was how do we get as much light in the building as possible, given that we're going more than 3 stories high, because 3 stories is kind of like the limit for most brick style technologies. And so that whole architectural revolution around Gothic cathedrals is kind of amazing.
Yeah, but I'm thinking especially of Winston Churchill saying that he supported the church from the exterior like a flying buttress, and I don't know about that.
Do Catholic churches have narthexes?
Some of them do, and actually, more of them. The newer they are, the more likely they are to have a big one. At least in the United States, from what I've seen, like older churches didn't have much for a narthex, but newer constructions got bigger ones. So
dog-headed, just like Churchill. Dog-headed.
I think you're full of nonsense, Mark. Anyway,
dog-headed.
Do the catechumen get dismissed from thing like they do in Eastern Orthodox services?
There are some places that still do that.
Okay.
It's not universal.
It's a universal church, but it's not universal services. And there is some spiritual malpractice going on. Father, have we made any progress in being able to charge bad priests who do lean on me in their freaking services and have guitars anywhere near their church with spiritual malpractice? Because this is a big issue for me now.
Did it happen twice?
No, but I just can't. I'm traumatized and I just can't get over it.
Yeah.
In Ireland, of all the places, what next? Poland, France, what's next?
Yeah, Mark, I mean, it'd be great if the bishops would do something about that. You're talking to father sites here. I don't have any capacity to coerce anybody.
But I just think this is your time to go hint to the law school over there, the canon law school, that maybe this is a category worthy of pursuing, and like bop it up the chain a bit. Let's see if
so
Rome
obviously there are ways that we could do it. We don't need to make that a canonical crime. We could just issue a precept to the priest who was at fault, saying, hey, we heard results of overly secular music being played in your church services. If this happens again, there's going to be problems. It'd be written in much nicer legal language of that, but that would be the gist of it. And then, we can go from there. Right? We have all of the tools. It's another one of these things where we have all of the tools that we need. It's just laid out there, and then people just have to use them.
Father, when are you graduating from your degree in canon law?
In theory, July. That's the target. If the thesis is not approved and ready to go by then, it could be a little bit later. I'm not anticipating failing any of my classes or not passing the my comprehensive exams, and so that's the. But I'm writing it.
I think I did ask you about your thesis once, but I have completely forgotten.
Catholic tabernacles, so not like the way you would have built them, but the way we built them. That's where the Blessed Sacrament is kept. The consecrated hosts kept inside the church.
So the refrigerator in the back?
No. I knew that was a joke, and so I won't have you smitten for it, but
I'm not bound by this promise, by the way. Did you find the potential saint, Father? Or
Gamaliel? Yeah. It doesn't seem to be clear to me if he's venerated in the West. I'd need to be at my office and look through the Roman Martyrology for August 3rd and see if he's listed there, because that's Catholic.org puts that as his feast day, or August 2nd. So, yeah, that's a question I can get to the bottom of, but not right this second.
I'm asking AI. AI will know.
Yeah, okay. Well, just make sure to let me double check the sources it finds for it.
It will hallucinate.
AI is claiming that yes, Gamaliel is a recognized saint in the Catholic Church.
If he's trained on the Roman Martyrology, then perhaps.
Pope Francis and other Catholic teachings reference Gamaliel positively as a wise figure who practiced discernment, without formally calling him a saint in recent documents.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's like anytime you're preaching on, what is it, Acts, that section of the Acts of the Apostles that he's in.
Yeah, it says, however, his sainthood predates formal papal canonization pre-congregation era, and some sources note that evidence of his conversion is legendary rather than definitively historical. In contrast, the East Orthodox Church venerates him more prominently on August 2nd.
Yeah. So I'll just have to take a look at the Roman Martyrology.
It's claiming that it is in the Roman Martyrology.
Okay. So this
That
is
sounds like a disease, martyrology. Like, you
well,
get 6 months to live.
there is a lot of dead people in that book. So
See? Then it's logical that that's the case. Excellent.
yeah, I mean, so you just found out recently that the Orthodox venerate him as a saint. Is that just another point where you're scratching your head, or?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've read Father Stephen's book.
Oh, I have. Yeah.
When I read it, I was rather surprised that the latest we can find somebody who is considered like a legitimate religious leader, both in Jewish and Christian circles, is Gamaliel.
Mm-hmm.
So he's actually, I mean, he was alive after Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought the split would have been before Jesus.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I'm actually, don't tell him, but I'm giving that book to my dad for Christmas. So hopefully he likes it.
I will not tell your father. In fact, I bought a copy to give to a local Los Angeles priest, but I haven't had the time to do that.
Okay.
Catholic priest.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I do find that the good Father Stephen manages to cut through a lot of the nonsense around St. Paul in a way that I find more edifying than anything else. So yeah, I actually, you've probably never heard of the St. Paul Center.
I have not heard of
It's
this.
a Catholic organization. It's kind of run by Scott Hahn, who's a very popular Catholic biblical scholar, an excellent one too. And one of the prominent members of that institute, John Bergsma, came and gave reflections to us priests in September, and I tried to put him on the scent for Father Stephen to because part of me doesn't quite know how to analyze it, like, and it's just a matter of when you're operating outside of your domain of expertise, it's a lot easier to just be like take it in by the evidence that they show you, you know. Like I could wrap you guys around an erroneous canonical opinion just by showing you a little bit of evidence, but not all of it that would disprove me. And I might not even do that on purpose. I might just be excited about an article I just read, right? So, so that's just a danger there. So I was hoping that these folks at the St. Paul Center would give some commentary on some of this scholarship and let the rest of us normie priests know if this is good stuff or not. So anyway, when I talked to him about it, he gave me his card and told me to email it to him. And hopefully there's a graduate student researching this stuff right now, so I can get a good answer from them. And that's why Catholic priests don't have to learn Hebrew, is because we have people for that.
Exactly.
I asked Father Stephen about John Bergsma, and he said he actually uses a lot of his work as reference work, but it's not in his select bibliography. I thought it might be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're both ex Christian Reformed Church in North America. That's the fun little tidbit there. And Bergsma is also a graduate of Calvin College.
Interesting.
Yes. And I know it's true because he's taller than I am. Therefore, definitely Dutch.
So, I mean, when it comes to Dead Sea scholarship, I tend to say Father Stephen is the Eastern Orthodox scholar, Bergsma is the Catholic scholar, Tabor is the Protestant scholar, and Eisenberg is the quasi-Jewish scholar. that have really seemed to have come with new stories based on their backgrounds. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that James Tabor no longer calls himself a Christian.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you have it. He was the Protestant scholar, huh?
He was, yes.
That's the same thing. The word Christian doesn't really refer to anything reasonable. So fair enough. Glad he kicked himself out of the club.
Lucky stole a pear off the counter. Should I take it away from him or should I let him have it?
Well, depends on what sort of behavior you want to inculcate in the dog.
The dog, yeah.
I don't want him to take things off counters.
Well, put some mouse traps up there.
Take it away from him and tell him he's a bad dog.
No, the mouse traps are going to have a much more direct feedback. That worked with. So my sister had a poodle, right?
Yeah.
And one night, he ate half a strawberry rhubarb pie. Unacceptable behavior, right? So the next time my mom made a pie, she put 3 mouse traps next to it. And we woke up the next morning, the mouse traps were set off, and the pie was still there. And poodles, it looked like a poodle to me. So poodles are smart enough to learn that lesson.
I'm hoping those were very small mouse traps.
Yeah, like that big. I don't think, you just hit them hard enough, they're going to go off, right? They're not. It wasn't the idea that we would get his snout stuck into it. It wasn't a rat trap. Those are scary. They were just mouse traps. So, that's my recommendation, is to find a way to punish the behavior in your dog that you don't like. And if it's a poodle, he'll learn very quickly.
Poodles are pretty smart.
That is true.
Have we got Father Skinner here?
Father Skinner? We can train dogs without being ridiculous psychologists.
Yeah.
Unless you were making a reference to my fresh haircut, but I'm pretty sure that was a B.S. Skinner reference.
Yeah. Okay, so basically dogs don't have human capacity of reason.
Yeah, you can't explain things to them, so you just gotta explain
properly condition them. Yes,
properly condition them.
Most of Skinner's work is just correct. Pavlov's work is misunderstood, but Skinner's work, most of it's correct, except his positive-only feedback theories, which he did a beautiful job of proving were wrong, but never gave up on the idea that he might be right about that. But everyone else has also been trying to prove that he's right about that, and it always fails. But science isn't real good at learning lessons that it doesn't really want to learn. I think that's why
aren't really good at learning lessons that they don't want to learn.
Yeah, I especially those types of humans. I think that's why we're in confusion mode. Father, I really liked your opening, by the way. Things are so confused.
Do you like it enough to apply it to yourself? Oh, woo!
I never apply anything to myself. Everybody knows that. Things are so confused that I turned on Bloomberg today, and they were talking about Nick Fuentes, and I was like, "Oh, the world! This is the end times." I'm fairly sure if you go to Revelations, it actually says in there something about Bloomberg mentioning Nick Fuentes and the destruction.
I don't know how you could
possibly. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe Tucker, Ben Shapiro, Nick Fuentes. I'm like, it's the trifecta. And then apparently the Heritage Foundation, which was perfectly awesome under Ronald Reagan. And I'm like, okay. A bunch of people left and went to Mike Pence, the traitor. They went to his new think tank. And I was just like, that guy's a traitor. He's not even, forget this. So it was just, I was stunned. Hearing Fuentes and Tucker Carlson on Bloomberg was nowhere near a bingo card that I thought anybody would have. I was just like, Well, that problem got worse a lot
Well,
faster than I thought.
the old world is dead and the new world struggles to be born, and now is Age of Monsters, right? That's a meme, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's why the dog headed are such a good idea. I was going over this on Friday. I was like, if you want to radicalize somebody, the only thing you need to do is not like tell them radical ideas or bad ideas or wrong ideas. It's just ignore their valid concerns over and over again and don't address them. That radicalizes people. Other things, by the way, mostly do not radicalize people, with some exceptions, but the quickest way to radicalize people is to ignore the true things that they're talking about and just attack them personally. That'll radicalize somebody in about 4 seconds. So I don't know what they're doing, but also I see what's happening. So
even if you say, listen, you're not wrong, I don't have the bandwidth to deal with this right now. Like that could be, it's like you're like, but like, you're talking about a medium-sized fish to fry here, and I've got a giant fish that I have to fry before I can get to that.
If they had one, but they definitely don't, and they're
sure.
all
I want to understand this.
It would
to make
arrest.
sure.
No, it would arrest the problem. The other way to do it is do something so amazingly stupid, like release the Epstein files and then get everybody all upset that no one's getting arrested because they don't understand that no laws were broken. And that wait until people figure it out. I've been trying to explain this for 2 years. Like, no, you don't understand. You do not want those files released. No good can come from that. And now they're all pissed off already. Well, no one's been arrested. No one's ever going to get arrested because you don't understand the legal system in the United States. And now you're in a lot of trouble because now you're going to be really pissed. That'll radicalize people too. Dipshits.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that things are probably going to get worse before they get better.
Things are already getting worse. Yeah. And they're going to continue. The splintering around the TPUSA nonsense and, Charlie Kirk was a Christian martyr garbage and all this. I'm just like, you guys really don't understand how anything works, do you? And they're all surprised. And I'm like, this pattern has been happening for decades and you haven't caught on yet. Not a good sign.
The pattern of
splitting apart and not having an order, right? Well, you saw my comments while you were talking, right? The larger issue is we need an order at the scale of Christendom. We'll say we need that, and the real problem is people are just trying to recreate that order using random parts and connecting them together in a random way, and it just turns out that doesn't work. And this is why the big conversation now is, these people said woke was dead, and yet woke is not dead, and it's like, well, no. Woke is dead, but the pattern that created woke just switched targets. That's all that really happened, because it's the same disordered thing that can't hold, trying to create a new order that also can't hold because that order is not in alignment with, creation. And so that pattern, and it's they're treating this like it's new with woke, and I'm like, this is not new with woke. This has been going on for a very long time. I don't know. Like, you guys should have seen it like decades ago, but I guess if you didn't, you didn't.
Yeah. The question is like, so I all of that sounds true to me. The only possible solution I can actually enact is just trying to be holy myself.
Yeah.
And letting Christ do his work in me and through me, through my priesthood, all of that stuff. So like, it's useful to identify these problems, right? Because it can teach you who not to follow and who not to imitate. That's a pretty good starting place right there.
Exactly.
But the idea that we're going to be able to rebuild any of this in our lifetime, like, just doesn't seem to be it, and I know that Rod Dreher got excoriated in some quarters for his idea of the Benedict option, but
Yeah.
like haven't actually read the book. I've read some summaries of it, and the sense that I got from it was that this was just a parish renewal program with really sexy marketing, right? Like this idea that we were just going to build strong parishes again, and this is an old model that's worked with us for a while. It's older than Christianity because it's kind of based on the local synagogue right there, and that's like the best way forward. And so that's what I'm trying to do as bishop secretary, who's not in charge of a parish. Um,
Thankfully.
Thankfully.
What a mess. What a mess. Right now, being in charge of a parish, you better get lucky. Most of them are a mess.
Well, yeah, but that's what you're there for, is you're there to unmess them. And like, I don't mean to brag, but things are like probably 60% less messy in the Diocese of Fargo than they are in lots of places. So,
Oh, probably.
So, Father, what are the chances of you making bishop?
Golly, that's such a complicated question to answer. First off, it's uncouth to seek the mitre yourself.
Okay.
Like that's not how you play the game, right there.
Right. We're trying to get you the mitre. You're not trying to get it for yourself.
Right. Yeah. And it's like my diocese hasn't produced a bishop for another diocese since before the Second Vatican Council.
Okay.
And the way this seems to work is that like some dioceses get hit up over and over again for bishops, usually larger archdioceses where there's connections, like there's a few, if you think of this like a network diagram, it's a closer to the nuncio than it is, and the congregation for bishops than it is, say other, there's fewer steps basically. So I don't know, man.
How old is your current bishop, and when does he have to retire? 75?
Yeah, 75 is when he submits his retirement, but the Pope doesn't have to accept it until he's good and ready to accept it. So, our current bishop, I think, is 63, 64 years old, thereabouts. And so he's got another decade with him. The easiest way to become a bishop is to become a rector of a seminary. Like that seems to be like extremely consistently, if you've become a rector of a seminary, like your chances, or even, doing well in seminary formation in another position, that seems to be where they draw bishops from. And all right, but it's all just a matter of who you know, not what you know. And I just don't really feel like a climber. I'd rather
straight to the papacy, Father. Straight to the papacy. We're working on it. Adam and I are diligently behind the scenes doing what we need to do.
Well, I mean,
I just can't know anything about it.
If you were a climber, then there would be no point. Like, yeah, people who want to be bishops are the people who should never be bishops.
Yeah. Like I remember reading this story, and it was very very telling to me. A rector of a seminary calls an emergent or a sudden meeting on a Wednesday night, right? Like, drop what you're doing, lads. We're all going to meet together, and it's like, usually this is like a holy mackerel. Like the rector has plenty of opportunities. Like if he's got an idea that he wants to tell the boys about, he could do it at his next rector's conference. He usually has those like once a month. So it's not like he just had a really bright idea and he needs to tell everybody. He usually preaches all the Sunday masses too. He gets all the boys together and announces that he's been made a Monsignor. And it's just like, that's weird, man. You can announce that at evening prayer, like you should let them know, it's news, but like a special meeting to announce that you've been made a Monsignor, and that guy's a bishop now. So
Well, I mean, when the church honors you, that's
Yeah, but that like usually that special meeting, like you get the sense that somebody's going to jail. Like that's what those special meetings are for. It's like, yeah, they found bad stuff on Herbie's computer and now he's going to jail. None of you boys like that's what you'd expect with a special meeting like that. Just context that you guys wouldn't have. So
well, I'm glad it wasn't that.
yeah, it's nice when that's not happened, but it's yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I don't really want to be a bishop because you've got like 1,000 times the responsibility and the exact same pay. So
Really, bishops don't get paid more?
I mean, they might get paid a little bit more, but you're not going to be rich doing that.
It's the cardinals who get the real wages.
Yeah, well, they got the connections anyway.
Yeah, I don't think the church is the place for you if rich is what you're looking for, generally.
Yeah.
Comfortable, maybe. Rich? No, I don't.
It's just, this is a comfortable room here. Of course, I'm a priest in the United States of America. Not like the priests of Chimbote, Peru, who have to work a second job to support themselves because, and everybody's poor there. So, it doesn't strike people as unusual. They're usually like school teachers or something like that. Something that can put their education to use.
You've got fancy barrister bookcases and everything, so you're living the life.
Yeah.
You don't have as many as I do.
Is that a barrister bookcase?
Yeah.
Is it supposed to have legal tomes in there?
That's what it was originally for. That's why they're called barrister bookcases. But I've got a bunch now in the living room. So
my dad may have spilled the beans on my Christmas gift, and it may or may not be 12 volumes of Dom Guéroger's The Liturgical Year.
Sounds like a lot.
Oh, it is. It's brilliant. It's excellent. It's the best. It's just French abbot from the 19th century telling you all of the theology of our liturgical year. And man, it's just there's no bottom to that. This could all be yours, Mark. You could dive into the inheritance. You could explore the height and the breadth and the depth.
I don't know, man. All the signals I get is that I am supposed to inherit nothing from anyone, because so far that's how it's been going. So I don't see that changing anytime soon.
All right.
Or really ever. So
all right. Suit yourself.
I'm just saying.
I heard there's no stream on December 29th.
Yeah, why is that? That's horrible.
I'm going to go visit my friends in Denver.
You're going to be in Colorado?
Yeah. Are you going to be in Colorado?
I am not going to be in Colorado.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go visit my friends in Denver because they don't live in Fargo anymore. It's very sad.
Just pack them in your suitcase on the way back. Are you driving or flying?
I'm going to fly.
Good. It's a long trip.
Yeah, well, and especially because after that, I'm going to visit my friends in Atlanta. So it's going to be a bit of a triangle trip.
Oh, you're going to be in Atlanta. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be fun. But I'm just not going to stream. You guys will be fine. You can go onto Mark's Discord server if you really need somebody to talk to. He's consistently there.
True story, bro.
So yeah, no stream on December 29th. Plus, I work on Christmas. I deserve a break.
Oh yeah, you have to do midnight mass, right?
Yeah. I love our Lord. I love Christmas. I don't love midnight mass. I shouldn't be held legally accountable for anything I do after 11 p.m. I am non sui compos in that state.
Are there official vigils during the liturgical year?
There are fewer than there used to be, and they don't all get celebrated with the same rigor that they once did. But yeah, Christmas is still one of the vigils that we have.
So
There's
are you
also
supposed to stay up until dawn, or
well, no, but I
okay?
am going to do midnight mass, and that feels penitential enough.
What exactly is a vigil in Catholic theology
Yeah,
practice?
man, I don't even know anymore, right? Like it might have meant something completely different 1,000 years ago. You get the sense that, especially when you're reading, there's this particular section on bishops in St. Thomas Aquinas where he talks about if a religious becomes a bishop, is he still obligated to do vigils? And the answer is no, because he has the burden of governance. And so he's not necessarily going to be able to do those vigils. So I get the sense that those vigils were pretty serious. That you were probably praying through the night and maybe getting a couple hours of sleep. But that's not really a thing that we do anymore, and maybe that's a problem. I've decided we have a Catholic retreat house in our diocese, and the director asked me to do another retreat, and I decided, you know what, we're going to do a fasting retreat because like we're not holding that up enough as something useful. Although I will not infrequently give people penance in the confessional to spend a certain amount of time without electronic entertainment, if that seems to be a problem for them. A lot of times people are like, "Oh, that's going to be hard," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's going to be good for you," and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, it is." So I usually don't get a ton of argument with it, and it's usually not more than a day and a half, depending on when the confession is. So all of that to say, I like the old stuff, and that's why I'm getting a 12-volume set on the liturgical year for Christmas from the 19th century, because that had all the old stuff written down in it. So maybe I can make use of it.
All the good old stuff.
Looks like used to love midnight mass. We did it with full medieval pageantry when I was a kid. It was a major event. I would actually be 100% on board with midnight mass if I didn't have another mass the next day. That's what kills me. I could just sleep in and wake up whenever I wanted. There'd be no problem with midnight mass.
What time is mass in the morning?
I've got a 10 a.m. And so, I get back to the house. And the thing, I'm being a bit of a baby. This isn't that big a deal. I got to do it once a year, right? But I don't fall asleep quickly, especially after, the lights are blasting in the cathedral and all of that. And so it's like I doze for a few hours and then I got to wake up and do it all again. And then I'm just really tired for Christmas dinner. So,
how long is midnight mass? Like an hour?
Yeah, it's just over an hour. It's probably a little bit longer. We there's always a good crowd. People like I can't remember Good Stuff Ninja's name. Denise. People like Denise really love it. And they get to go home and they fulfill their obligation. So there's always a good crowd there. There's usually a little extra music, but there's not a whole ton extra to it. And there's a Christmas proclamation. That's always fun. So,
what's the Christmas proclamation?
Christmas proclamation is what it is. Let me see if I can link you a text to it.
Ooh,
it's just something you do right before Mass.
I'm guessing you proclaim Jesus something.
His birth.
There you go.
On Christmas? Weird.
Yeah.
Sounds very Catholic.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. It's cool, although I don't really like the setting that they give us in the missal nowadays. It's too boring. The chant setting. I'd like something with a little more movement.
It's the recession of the church, Father. I've seen it in my lifetime. It's not pretty.
Well, the thing is
it's also seen it from the inside, not the outside.
Yeah, here we go. I'm going to post it in the chat. You can look at it to your heart's content. But the chant goes like this: the 25th day of December, when ages beyond number had run their course from the creation of the world, when God in the beginning created heaven and earth and formed man in his own likeness. So it's just got that up and down. When we've got nicer chants inside the church, and this isn't really a recession of the church thing here, because this is in our book. We could have put whatever chant notation we wanted in it,
Yeah, and you put in a lame one. That's laming up the church, left, right, and center.
Now, there's nothing preventing you from setting it to another cooler. Golly, I should have Benton do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a guy who would be like, sure, I'll do it for you. And he would. And it'd take him about 15 minutes and he'd do a good job.
Do it. Make it better. Be better.
I am. Well, actually, I've got great news for anyone who cares, is that this year, for the first time in memory, we will be chanting John's Passion narrative at the cathedral on Good Friday, chanting the entire thing. That's a lovely chant. I talked Bishop into doing that, so
good.
I was very glad he said yes, and so were the deacons, the transitional deacons that I told about the other night. They were excited at the prospect of doing that. They would be the ones doing it. And so was the cathedral choir director. So everybody's happy about this.
Good. Except Jan God, who's a fundamentalist Protestant. So apparently.
Well, I thought music was their sacrament.
They think it's music, but also, yeah. If only they knew what a sacrament was. Imagine how much better the Protestants would be if they had just upgraded one of their tools to something enchanted. That would be amazing.
So, since your father's a permanent deacon, do you rarely get to do like having Christmas Mass together as a family?
Yeah, we don't. I mean, part of that is also due to my brothers being lousy, non-practicing Catholics. Two of them anyway, so it'd be
materialists.
Hard. Yeah. So anyway, there's plenty to pray about there. My mom will probably get them by the end with endless prayers, but yeah, it's like we haven't had like a big Christmas Mass together as a family since probably 2018. Because by 2019, I had my own Christmas obligations, and it's only gotten more so since then. So I mean, it's really nice. I live in Fargo now, so when I'm done with the Latin Mass at 10, I'll have the opportunity to and my parents live 5 minutes away from the high school, so I could just cruise on over there and collapse, drink a beer. Yeah. So anyway, Christmas is coming.
I'm guessing your mom makes a mean Christmas dinner.
Well, she's really busy too, because she's become one of the head sacristans at the church, setting things up for Mass. So she's actually started delegating parts of Christmas dinner.
Okay.
So I'm on for the cheesy potatoes. And today I found out that the grocery store nearest my house doesn't sell frozen hash browns, which is mind-blowing to me, because like everybody eats hash browns. Like you can eat hash browns, Jacob. They're kosher, So that means everybody can have them.
Most frozen hash browns are actually kosher.
Yeah, as long as you could probably even cook them in animal fat, couldn't you?
No, the animal fat would have to be kosher.
Oh, okay.
The animals would have to be slaughtered kosherly. Yeah.
So if you had like a kosher steak and you collected some kosher animal fat, then you could kosherly. Yeah, cool. All right.
You could do that. Yeah. Christmas present I bought for somebody.
From Crook to Cook, Snoop Dogg's cookbook. You know, maybe he's a really good cook. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to rule that out.
He made it with Martha Stewart.
Okay. Well, she's probably good. I would hope so.
It's the gag part of the.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Two criminals writing a cookbook together. Lovely.
I love. I remember seeing this meme once that was like Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg on some cooking show. It says, "Would you believe that only one of these is a convicted felon?"
I don't.
I think the insider trading thing was actually a felony.
Yeah, well, no, she didn't get pinched for insider trading. Everybody thinks she did. She got pinched for being involved in insider trading and not ratting out the insider trader through lying to the FBI. So she got pinched for lying to the FBI.
Oh, perjury. Okay, well,
no one cared about her making a few extra $100,000. No one cares about that. First of all, it's an insignificant amount of money to her, but she just benefited from somebody else's error, which isn't even in and of itself illegal, right? Because she could always go, well, I didn't know that wasn't public information, right? So that's not what you get. It's very hard to pinch somebody for insider trading unless they're the ones that had the information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't have the information. She was given the information and refused to rat the jerk out. That's why she went to jail. But yeah, also I'm fairly sure she's a convicted felon now, which, too bad they let her out. But we being from New England, there are legendary stories about her. We'll just put it that way. None of them are flattering. I'll also add that. So typical Connecticut wealth, just disgusting.
Connecticut wealth. Oh, the worst kind of wealth.
There's
That's
nothing
where the Knights
worse
of Columbus
than
are
Connecticut.
from.
It's reflected in their driving. I mean, I know New Jersey tries to be worse drivers than Connecticut, but they always get so close, and then Connecticut just comes in for the win every time.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, it's I remember talking to one of my classmates from Canon Law School about how aggressive the driving was in DC. And he was like, he kind of like puffed up his chest. He's like, well, people are going to honk at you if you wait more than, a tenth of a second at a green light, because, like, we don't want to have people miss those lights, So it's like, this is actually a really important thing that people are doing there. And it's like, that is the weirdest brag that I've ever heard in my life, like, oh man, our traffic is really horrible, right? It's like, it's so bad. I can get to anywhere in Fargo in about 20 minutes. It's great. It's really great. Nothing to worry about there.
Yeah, it's similar here in lovely South Carolina. There's just almost no traffic anywhere, and when there is, it's so not really traffic. And the exceptions are usually large car accidents, and there's so few of them. Or construction, obviously, but yeah, it really doesn't matter. We've been having problems here because down the road 3 miles, they're putting in a Food Lion grocery store, like a big one. And I'm like, well, that's terrible. Now because where I am, triangulate, there's 2 Food Lions now within 3 miles. I'm like, that's no good. They're 5.5 miles apart, but they're only 3 miles from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they put in another store too further down. So a Publix grocery store, which is nice. But
go there and get the Publix, get the chicken tender sandwiches at the deli there.
Yep.
Very good. That just means that your neighborhood's growing then if they're putting grocery stores in. Oh,
it's nuts here. It's been nuts. It's been completely insane. Yeah, it's ever since 2022, 2023, it's just been houses everywhere. There's houses. I think they've moved the borders of Elgin. Like, I was like, I'm fairly sure this wasn't Elgin before. When did this become Elgin? And so there's always a battle for who's expanding faster, Columbia or any of the surrounding towns, basically.
You think there's like annexation battles going on in the courts too, or
Yeah, well, so the closest. Well, no, it's not the closest. I am equidistant from Elgin Center and the center of Pontiac. But Pontiac doesn't exist anymore. So I thought Columbia was going to get Pontiac. We got Pontiac, which is a little weird. And then if you go on the other side, on Blythewood's in the other direction, basically. So if you go to Blythewood, they're putting in a freaking Scout Motors, which is a subsidiary of Volkswagen, factory for electric cars. And so they just put a bridge over the major highway over there, the North-South Highway 77, for the railway to take the cars in and out of the factory. So we just went over there not too long ago, and I was like, what is all this? What is happening? Because that was a big empty stretch of road. And now it's like, oh, no, there's a giant factory going over here. It's huge.
electric cars. All right.
Scout Motors. Yeah. Big facility. South Carolina, apparently, I just learned this the other day. South Carolina has the highest per capita workers for foreign companies of any state.
Interesting.
And we have the
It's just,
second.
I mean, it's really low taxes there, right?
Oh yeah, taxes are nothing here. The only state cheaper is Tennessee. It's Tennessee and South Carolina are two really cheap states, and then I think Mississippi is third or something. Those are the cheap states. And then Louisiana, all those states. Georgia's ridiculously expensive for various reasons, but South Carolina and Tennessee are really, really cheap.
Interesting. Yeah.
And there's all these, like, we focus on factories. So it's factories and golf courses. I think we still have the most golf courses of any state, but there's a ton of factories here. There's a lot of factories going in.
And the nuclear power, right? You've got a bunch of nuclear power plants there. That probably keeps your electricity prices cheap.
Yeah, the electricity costs nothing. It's all nuclear and basically water, all of it. And there's a lot of water power here, like a real lot, because all the lakes here. I think there are no natural lakes in South Carolina, so all the lakes we do have are all man-made, and a lot of them are huge, right? And a few of them are owned by like Duke Energy and places like that. The military made, I think it made Lake Murray. But and then the failed nuclear project to expand the nuclear project has been resurrected. It looks like they just got a bidder, so they're going to put that capacity online. But we export. I think it's more. I think it's more than 12%. I forget if it's 12 or 20% of our electricity, which is super profitable. So them expanding the electric capacity is a really good idea. Well, I know way more about energy now. It's not good. My friend's dragging me to these, convince people to do something about energy policy, and then I have to meet with all these politicians and explain energy to them. So I know a bunch of politicians in South Carolina now.
Bunch of good old boys down there, I'm sure. They're building this huge AI data center north of Fargo, and
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like. I'm sure whichever construction company got the bid for it is doing great, because they just got to pour. But like, what do you think the building costs? Maybe $40-50 million?
Oh, no, those buildings are cheap. Those are dirt cheap.
Okay, so closer to 20 then. Because you got to run a fair amount of like networking in there as well.
Well, yeah, the structure doesn't cost anything.
Right, but it's a $3 billion investment, and so that's like $2.5 billion of that's going to go into Blackwell AI accelerators.
Right, it's all.
The air conditioning is a large part of the cost of.
Most of the cost is cooling, right? But the problem is, if you do the math, there's a couple of people talking about this now. If you do the math, the technology cycle on AI is 1 to 2 years, not 3 or 5. So the problem with that is that means all of your equipment is getting refreshed every 2 years. And that equipment, like NVIDIA is the largest company on the stock exchange, or the second largest, depending on what day it is, apparently, for a reason. And that reason isn't because they're not making any money. And so this stuff is all, and so if you start doing the math on the sustainability of these AI data centers, you realize that ain't ever going to happen. I think it's the largest AI data center provider that's providing the whole kit and caboodle, right? They're buying all the AI and everything and selling it to Microsoft and OpenAI in this complicated, ridiculous thing. They were a Bitcoin mining company, which is a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit because it's the same. It's the same hardware, actually.
Right.
Like it's actually the same hardware.
Yeah.
Like the mining rig or the mining rigs are based on NVIDIA stuff. I had the first large scale NVIDIA GPUs. Actually, I had two of them because back when I was in Boston years ago and making all the money in the universe, every year was just technology refresh year because I needed the tax write-off. So I'd just buy insane gear every year. That way I had bragging rights, fast computers, and it was tax write-off. So that was a bonus. Kept the tax base is lower. You know, when you can spend $3,000 or $5,000 every year on new hardware. So I had a rig. It was up for like 7 years with the dual GTX 380s in it, and I do occasionally kick myself for not mining the crap out of Bitcoin because I would have mined it, not used it, and I'd have it now, and that would have solved a hell of a lot of problems. Like just right off the bat, a bunch of problems I had never would have happened. But also it took 12 years for Bitcoin to be worth anything at all. So who knew?
And it could go to zero tomorrow.
Oh, it will. Don't worry. It's well on its way. It's not in happy land. And they're all delusional. They're all like stable coins. And I'm like, I thought you said fiat was bad. And now you want to link your allegedly, but not really non-fiat currency to a fiat currency because that's the only way it can survive. But that's the thing you think is bad. You haven't figured out they're so clueless. I feel bad for them, but also they're stupid. So I'm like, well, I guess if you're that, like, if you can't figure that out, fair enough. Also, maybe you should do something else with your time and money.
While I have yet been to figure out why Bitcoin is worth anything whatsoever, and I mean, every time I look into it, I'm like, why is this worth anything whatsoever? A lot of people have made a lot of money, and like they've taken that money out, and like
a lot of people did that in the 2000 crash too. Yeah.
If I bought Bitcoin when my cousin told me to originally buy Bitcoin, I would.
Yeah, Jacob, about 14 years ago, my buddy and I were going to buy ASIC rigs because it was still trading and electricity was still cheap enough, even in Massachusetts. And I would have had well over $250,000 extra dollars had we done that. They were only $5,000 rigs at the time. They were relatively inexpensive, but I didn't do that either. So like, fair enough. But no one anticipated it would go up that high, except the crazy people who are still saying it's going to $1 million a coin. And there's no basis for that. And I see what's going on, especially with like Michael Saylor, because he's actually been caught playing this game before and got slapped by the SEC or something. But they don't see it. You cannot convince them of anything.
So is Michael Saylor just like pumping up Bitcoin, and then cashing out at top, or
no. He's actually playing derivatives. So he like the one way to play it. The thing, they all had this confusion. They're like, why are the banks getting into Bitcoin? And I'm like, banks don't care about core value. Banks make money on transactions, to Jacob's point. Banks extract value in real time. They don't care about the long-term value of anything because it doesn't matter, because they're extracting value every time it moves. This is a very good strategy. Now, the smart man strategy, although I doubt that it really is, but that's the way they think about it, is to use derivatives, and then you get multiples and transaction fees at the same time. And what Michael Saylor's done is set up a derivatives market with, I think, 2 feeds. I'd have to actually go through the research, and I just don't like the guy, and he's a bit of an idiot. And again, he's done this before. And also, I'm just going to tell you flat out, as an expert, if you can't make money in software consulting, you're retarded. And his company is not making money in software consulting. And he's using the Bitcoin trick to bail his company out using all of these, hand rolled. I mean, to be fair to the guy, like, it's not easy to hand roll derivatives and manipulate futures markets. And he's doing it successfully. But also, if you fail at your software consultancy business, you should probably find something else to do. Why don't we start with, would you like fries with that, and see if you need to go up or down from there?
I don't know. It seems like he should just go full time on the Bitcoin derivatives then.
He has. Well, also, but he's also, and a lot of companies are doing this, he's also exploiting a bunch of rules and is operating completely illegally. And I don't know why the U.S. government and the IRS in particular isn't enforcing this anymore. And it may be that the law actually changed, because I don't track the federal laws that closely. It used to be that you, as a corporation, with a statement to the IRS about what type of corporation you are, which even individuals have to fill out, right? Like, what business are you in, right? Like, they have to know that when you're a business, when you're if you file a C, right? If you do any kind of C form filing whatsoever, you've got to tell them what industry you're in. Well, if you're making most of your money, and actually, something in my brain tells me it used to be more than 30%. But if you're making most of your money from something else and it's banking, you're a bank. And banking is the most heavily regulated industry in the United States. Always has been, by the way.
Probably should be.
He would not be able to do any of what he's doing if he had to follow the banking regulations. And so basically, he's operating illegally. And I'm sorry, but software consultancy, other than a bank, is probably the best way to print money that's ever existed. So I don't know. Like, I made a boatload of money doing that. So if I had people, I could have easily 100x'd my income. Like, I could have made a bloody fortune. Those companies that did that were always the top growing companies in Massachusetts every single year.
Yeah, I mean, like tech consulting, none of I don't mean to disparage what you did, but none of what you do is like real and tangible. It's
Right.
all just
Right.
patterns that we are etching into the magic rocks that remember everything.
Well, and it's worse, right? Because the whole meme about, you bring in Deloitte and they don't do anything. I mean, I know people who worked at Deloitte back in the day even, and a fair percentage of the time that's true. They actually don't do anything. They actually, and about half the time that is actually not their fault at all. It takes two to tango, right? If you're hiring consultants and they're not delivering value, that's on you, because you should be able to have a measure up front. And to be fair, almost no one ever does, because most people who run companies are far more incompetent than you can imagine, despite the fact that maybe even they built the company. That happens all the time. People get lucky, as Nassim Taleb points out. A lot of people are at the top because they're lucky, not because they're good. And just because you're good, and this is well known in entrepreneurship circles, a lot of people are really good at building businesses and can't scale them past 50 employees ever. Like, they can't, because it's a whole different set of skills once you hit 50 employees, because you're managing managers of people instead of managing people directly. And after 50, it's really hard to get good employees. If you can mop up the 50 people in the top 10% at whatever you're doing in an industry, and you can, with a fair bit of reliability, that's fantastic. But expecting that trend to continue past 50 people is really dumb, like really stupid.
I mean, it's you can map it on a Pareto distribution, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Square root of the number of people in the organization accomplish 50% of it. When you're in an organization with 9 people in it and 3 people doing half the useful work, it's like, well, that's actually pretty fair. But if we were at 50, that'd be 7 people doing 50% of the work.
Right.
And then the other I guess the other, I don't know, 40 people are going to be support for those 7, like just making sure that they can do their work.
Most of it is freeing people up to do what they're best at.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that, especially not, I mean, if you haven't run a small business, and I've run several, unfortunately, you really don't understand the trickery that goes on, especially because in the beginning, you have a bunch of people who can wear a bunch of hats because they have to be able to. And so the others just wash out. But then they get sad when they're pigeonholed into the thing they're best at, right? And maybe it's not the thing they want to do, and maybe it's not the thing they're the very best at. It's just that they're the best at because this other person is slightly better, or the other person, refuses to do anything else. And so, right, it's all that level of negotiation that happens at about 12 people, roughly. And then that just gets worse. So if you can get a stable 50-person organization, you're doing pretty well, right? But once you get past that, the point of scale changes, and now the Pareto distribution, takes off, basically. So at small scales, actually, it's mostly linear, and the Pareto distribution doesn't actually apply. So a lot of the companies I worked for, like the ad agency I worked for, there were like 8 people there. They were all excellent, but they weren't all interchangeable, but they were all excellent. Like everybody was a top-notch performer. Nobody was slacking in that organization. A few of us were working way more hours than the rest, but that was more a function of job than it was a function of drive or anything. I mean, we had people that would come in who couldn't do any work because there was just nothing for them to do, but we were there late and they would stay late. Like, those are the type of people that you get in a good startup, that you need to have a good startup, right? And then just having people there is support in a weird way, even for very technical things. You'd be sort of surprised at how much of a difference that makes. But guys like Michael Saylor, who can't even make a consultancy work, and then effectively switch their income stream from consultancy to, some form of future.
Looks like money laundering to me. Maybe it's not, but it's what it looks like.
Well, so here's a funny one. The last time I checked, and it was a number of years ago, and it might have changed, but I don't think it did. Writing a check falls under money laundering in the federal government. It's just like, well, that's a pretty broad definition, guys. But yeah, I think I told this to a Connecticut lawyer out of Greenwich, Connecticut, actually, not too long ago. She was doing a talk in Charlotte, so we went up to meet her. I said, I think this last 20, 30 years, something like that, and maybe the next 10 or something, is going to be known as the age of money laundering. And she was like, kind of, oh, yeah. I mean, she really considered it. And she's in the banking legal space. So I was like, okay, well, that validates that. That's pretty interesting. A lot of people, like you saw, we talked about the AI triangle thing, right? With the money, the fake money changing hands. It's not even real money changing hands, just promises that maybe we'll do an investment, right? And you can just see that that's money laundering. Like, that's absolutely money laundering. There's no question about it. And then someone's extracting a bunch of money from those stocks. So, to Jacob's earlier point, yeah, a lot of people made a lot of money in Bitcoin. Well, a lot of people make a lot of money doing a lot of things. But the problem is that doesn't legitimize the activity, right? A lot of people make money by, running guns, like, or muling drugs or whatever.
Yeah,
These are not sustainable businesses.
Right, but if you don't, you need to have something valuable other than money in order to have any kind of sanity or goodness. Like, if the amount of money, and I think that's where people get stuck, is they don't know how to value something if they can't, consider it in terms of profit. And
Right.
The problem with your desire for money is that it's infinite. Like, you never, I can only eat so much cheesecake, and then I have to stop. There are real physical limitations on my consumption of cheesecake, but
That's
number can
unfortunate.
just keep on going up in the old bank account there. And so
Right.
that's how people can get really sucked in by the lust of the eyes.
Well, and
So
it's
be on the lookout for that.
that is the flat world material view, and it's odd, right? Because money isn't material; it's actually an abstraction designed to trade material more efficiently, effectively. And of course, I have videos on this navigating patterns because, of course, I do. But I think what people miss is when you don't use money as a tool, and you don't think of it as a tool, you're not going to make any money. Like, you're never going to be a force, except by accident. Like, anybody can get lucky, but you're never going to be a force on the money side. So the very thing that they're obsessed about, that they're sort of mistaking for value or trying to link to value somehow, that is what is preventing them from obtaining more money, basically, or at least, enough so they stop bitching about it constantly. And that I find ironic, of course, but also, it's another case of just people, especially the crypto people, like, they're just trying to be involved in something that they're not mentally ready, or maybe will ever be mentally ready to understand. And they need to put their considerable mental skills to something that they actually can participate in. And this is just over their head. It's that simple. And that might be most people, and that's fine too. But, like, you're wasting your time, energy, and attention on something that, you're not going to be a player in that game. It's like me trying to go and play guitar in a band. It ain't gonna happen. Believe me, this hurts my soul, because I actually like guitar, just not in church. And I'm never going to be able to play guitar. I understand, or piano. Like, I can't do either. I understand that after years and years and years of, but I never wasted a lot of time on it, and that's what I'm grateful for.
Sam Harris interviewed Ross Douthat, and I listened to the first half hour of it, and they started talking about this type of stuff, about exactly, like, and the amount Sam Harris doesn't seem to understand about what it takes to be a happy human being is vast.
Now we've got our old punching bag back here, Sam Harris. All right.
That's what I've always said. The guy's a bit of an idiot. I've got whole videos on it. It's too bad. He really does have a narrow range where he seems smart, and I got questions even in that range. It's too bad. It's sad to see people like that, and it's a shame that we let them have YouTube channels, quite honestly, because that's making everything worse, and nobody wants to own up to that. Like, yeah, giving idiots the ability to broadcast, especially when they're charismatic, is dangerous, and you shouldn't do that. You should actually, like, I'm a huge censorship fan. Censorship is required, guys. We can't have a society if everyone's allowed to have their own broadcast medium all the time, because everyone isn't good at it. And the number of people that are good at it is probably less than 10%. And maybe we should, like, cultivate and focus on them rather than trying to give that around to everybody and spread it out and flood the world. I don't know.
Well, everybody should have a YouTube channel.
I am willing to get rid of my YouTube channel if we can agree that Father Eric gets one out of the 10 YouTube channels that get taken down. Like, he gets to keep his.
Aw, thanks, Jacob. What he's saying is, don't censor me, bro.
Jacob, that's too bad, because I would say Jacob's channel would be fine just based on the content. But I always liked his little idea of having a little little network. I wish he had pursued that, but he kicked us all out.
I pursued it as far as I could.
It kicked us all out.
It wasn't going anywhere, and I decided to go back to my own channel.
So you cut your channel's view time in half instead? That doesn't seem better.
But I went back to my own channel. We
agree about that.
Yeah.
You can't get more content on your channel by kicking off all the content creators. I'm just saying.
Well,
doesn't
no.
work.
I mean, I wanted my content on my channel.
Well, that's fair. I mean, then you abandon the original dream, which is too bad. 'Cause
Right.
I thought that had
I
worked.
did not think the what was it called? Randos United channel? I mean, it's still there. You guys can still broadcast too.
No, they have two of them. Well, we can't.
Yeah.
I can't broadcast to that because there's not enough spots. So
Mm.
And there's somebody still commenting.
Well, Jeff still owns the channel. Yeah.
Somebody
Which one?
owns the channel.
now that there's two of them.
Jeff P.
No, which Randos United channel?
Oh, I think Jeff owns all of them.
Oh, well, I don't know why there's two. I only ever had access to one of them, and now I can't broadcast on it anyway. I mean, I'm happy to give away my content because my mission is not to get all my content only on my channels, but right now it is because of StreamYard is a bunch of jerks. That's a different problem.
Well, they're probably just passing on the cost of AWS price hikes onto us, right? Like,
or investor need to make money since they were probably just using the drug dealer business model like every other tech company and giving you what they could for free for as long as possible until they jacked up the price, which is what everyone's doing. I mean, that was the big complaint with Cursor. Is either number one or number two fastest growing company ever in history. And they did the same thing, right? It's like, well, we're not going to charge you more money, but we're just going to cut back your usage all of a sudden. And it's like, well, thanks, drug dealer. I appreciate that. No, you can have half as much heroin. Lovely. And then that doesn't work. And then you want to pay them more money. But yeah, it's the same drug dealer business model. I know where that comes from. It's hysterical to me, too, that the tech bros are doing it.
yeah, right. That's the Uber business model where they were
Yep.
running it at a loss until
Yep.
they could put the taxi cab companies out of business. And
Out of
then-
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Amazon. That's Jeff Bezos' whole business strategy, which, to be fair to him, he told everybody from day one that's what he was trying to do. He doesn't hide it. It's just evil. That's a different problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I saw the StreamYard price hikes come through, I had some sticker shock. I was like, well,
Yeah.
Alrighty then. I mean, I guess I could try and figure out how to do this with like Zoom and OBS,
Well,
but
there's Riverside. Yeah, you can do strange things with OBS and the setup there. I was thinking about that. I'm like, what can I do? But then I was like,
this is just so convenient. I give people one link, they can come in here and flash porn across the stream. It's great.
yeah. I just use it for Rumble and Twitter in my channel because that's all we can do. So, which is fine. But yeah, it's not like I wouldn't broadcast on 6 or 7 channels at once. I don't care. It doesn't.
Everywhere is Mark.
I don't see
Times
it as a
Square,
bad
it's just
thing.
Mark Lefebvre all over every screen everywhere.
I
It's
had
a
a
glorious world.
I had a talk about this that's coming out soon on a very, very, very large channel. I actually thought it would be out by now, but it's not. But it'll be out soon. Where we kind of talked about this. Like a lot of people have this weird mentality about how that works. And they're like, well, you want to get bigger, right? You want to be on more, so that you can make more money. And it's like, no, I ain't gonna make any money doing this, guys. But it's not my loss to be nice and give the free content to more people. Like that doesn't see it, Jacob. That doesn't cost me anything. So my goal is not to grow to 1 million subscribers. And, I mean, if that happened, that would be fine too. But that's really not my goal.
I mean, it's
that would be a lot of work.
Well, yeah, it's also a nice way of proclaiming your freedom from, this is a phrase I came up with, is that the algorithm's enemy territory, right? And it's just this, and I think it's especially useful for, I could think of Christian content creators to understand and remember that, like, the people who put together YouTube didn't put it together to carry the gospel.
Right.
Now, does that mean that it cannot carry the gospel? No. But like, just remember the algorithm's enemy territory. Like, it was not created with your ends in mind. It has different ends that the creators theoretically and the maintainers theoretically are pursuing. Whether or not
Yeah.
they're any good at that is another question. But
Yeah.
your ends don't necessarily align, and so you've got to be careful how you interact with it. Which is why I pledge that this YouTube channel will always be low effort, and you can count on that.
That's good, Father. Did
Yeah.
you see the McGilchrist Peugeot conversation yet? Oh, it's good. It's really good. I didn't. I was still like, you guys are so off on your framing, but it's not. I mean, they're not saying anything wrong, but also few framing upgrades. And McGilchrist went right out and like proclaimed demons. I was like, in psychology. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm glad he's there. He's like, I've seen stuff. It's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, I know a guy, and like, we hand these guys off to the guy, and the guy does the magic, exorcism stuff.
Oh, okay. He knows an exorcist.
Well, I don't know if he's an official exorcist, but he does magical. He does not do psychology on them. He does something else that is akin to exorcism.
Well, if they're driving out demons in Jesus' name, then they're okay. And Jesus himself said that, is anybody who's not against me is for me. He also said anybody who's not for me is against me. So you got to just hang loose with that. But the specific context was, we saw somebody else driving out demons in your name who wasn't in our company. And Jesus is like, nobody can do a mighty deed in my name and at the same time speak ill of me. So just let him go.
Let him go.
But it would be cool if it was actually, a licensed, bonded, and insured Catholic exorcist. That would be the best possible outcome.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
it was a good talk. I think you'll like it. It was quite interesting to hear McGilchrist, of all people, talking that way.
So are you getting background noise on your end, or?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it was coming from you. It sounds like you're at a party. Maybe you should go engage with the party instead of the bald guys.
No, I'm at home. This is just my little sister fighting. My little sister is, in my opinion, inflicted with demons.
Well,
brothers always think that.
Yeah, sisters could be like that.
I actually had a question on Catholic theology, Father.
Sure, go ahead.
So, I don't know if you've listened to Peterson's lecture. Did you listen to Peterson's lectures on psychology transformation?
I think I probably did, like back in seminary. So you might need to get it.
Yeah, well, so the reason is because he references a scholar of religions named Matteo Eliade in his personality transformation lectures. And I heard he said that something that Eliade had this idea of cyclical time as one of the things in religion. I was curious if there's a concept like this in Catholic theology where time is not linear, but there's sort of a sacred time where past, present, and future are sort of pregnant in one moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole liturgical year for us, right? So it's not a either or, either time is linear or time is cyclical. It's both. We've got the expectation that Jesus is going to return at the end of time, and that all of history and all of creation is preparing for that moment, whether they like it or not, as God's providence orders all things. And so, very, very strong sense of that linearity there. But the liturgical year and the various celebrations along the way of the liturgical year are probably the most direct way where we have that seasonal cyclical time there. So we were talking about this earlier with the Christmas proclamation, right? If you do that prayer seriously and you take it seriously, the church is saying, today is the day that Jesus was born, and there's not like a any kind of caveat of like, well, we're merely commemorating the day that Jesus. Like, no, it's today, And right now we're at the end of Advent, and it's like, guys, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming. Get ready. Jesus is coming. And it's like, you mean at the end of time? Yes, but Christmas also, So there's this real insistence in all of the prayers that the church does, that like all of this stuff that we're commemorating, all the stuff that we're remembering is also real. It's not just a phantasm in our imagination there. So Christmas and Easter, especially being kind of the two most important of those celebrations, the incarnation and the resurrection there. We also, if you read some of the old monastic hymns, we praise you, Father, for your gifts of dusk and nightfall over earth, foreshadowing the mystery of death that leads to endless day. It's like that first verse, that's an English translation of an old monastic hymn there. It's like, oh yeah, us going to sleep is a symbol of death, and we're not scared of it because we know that we're going to wake up at the other end of it, And then there's also the Jubilee cycle, which in Catholicism is at least every 25 years, and then occasionally a little bit more, where we have special years of special grace available to us. And so we're actually in a Jubilee year this year that'll be concluding in Rome on January 5th and everywhere else on December 28th. Did I get the date wrong in there? Yeah, December 28th. Yeah. So anyway, we absolutely have a sense of cyclical time. It's kind of a thing that we... That's right. Yeah. So hope that answers your question.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I heard that Eliade was mostly studying Eastern religions, but it seems as though there is a concept like this in Western religion as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a place for it, but we're doing the old Catholic both and.
Yeah, I would eventually like to I've been to Catholic church services, but I'm curious, is there a reason that Catholic church services don't have a lunch afterwards?
Because you're in a lame place that isn't giving you lunch.
Some do.
Some do. That's usually for most of us it'd be like a special occasion thing. More common is donuts and coffee, and maybe that's lunch for you. That's usually just heartburn and a blood sugar crash for me.
Donuts are good.
Yeah. Mark, you curled your eyes when I brought up him studying Eastern religions. Was that a reference to something, or?
No, there's no difference between Eastern and Western religions. Why do people think there is? This is so silly. No, just read the geography of thought. They just think differently. All the concepts are the same. So it turns out, Kirk, I don't know why people don't know this. We all live on the same planet, and we all come to the same conclusions about the same things. We're all embedded in the same place. But we express things differently because our environment's different. Bang! Whole problem solved. This nonsense, and it's pure nonsense. I heard this in a talk recently, so I forget which idiot did it. That like somehow like the West got this idea from the East. Like, what are you talking about? No, that's never happened. There's no reason to use that as an explanation. None. There's no reason to assume that people born into the same creation aren't going to come to the same conclusions about that creation. None. This fake split between East and West with a Middle East in the middle, nonsense. It's just a dumb way to think about the world.
Okay,
it's a big round globe, and it's all the same for everybody at that layer of abstraction, right? At the layer of life and death, that's not different anywhere on the planet. Sorry.
There's only so many correct ways to do these things, right?
Right.
Like you're going to get a lot more variation in things like architecture and music and those sorts of things. But like you said, at that layer of abstraction, well, everything that rises must converge. It's too bad we didn't have an opportunity to talk about that, but Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's all the same. And these higher level abstractions, because we don't recognize the science idiots are calling it vertical causality, which is close enough. Like, I'm fine with that. Because honestly, like, if that's the best you can do, that's good enough. Right? Vertical causality, the rules change as you go higher up in abstractions, as you're talking about more and more universal things, right? That they look more and more different place to place, but they're identical. Whereas at the bottom, the more differentiation you have, the more individual names you need. Like, sorry, it's just a pyramid. It's not that hard. Like, I really just, it just drives me nuts. These people are like, well, I've been studying this for 30 years. And I'm like, but you missed the obvious point. Like, why did you study this for 30 years? Like, you could have taken 3 seconds and thought about it in terms of a pyramid, and you would have come to better conclusions quicker. I don't know. What are you doing? It's making it very hard.
Yeah, then I don't know why some wealthy or upper middle class Westerners become so enamored with the East.
Rebellion.
because they think they think there's something there that they weren't given when, there's only so many correct way to do these things, right? So, yeah, if you just, like, rebellion's a quick way of saying it, but like if you just stayed at home, like we have food at home, and your mom's home cooking is going to be better than what you get at the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah. Well, and the pattern is pretty clear if you look, right? People who go through this journey typically end up at the religion they were born at. Pretty reliably. It's not 100%, but it's like 90%. And it's kind of like, well, you could have shortcut all that by not leaving. And it's like, this is mysterious that this happens so reliably and so consistently. And it's so obvious. And when you listen to the stories, there's so many of them. And because nobody likes that answer, we're going to follow Nietzsche or some nonsense. And I saw another meme today. See, that whole thing's breaking down too. You'll be happy to know, Father. There's a ton of memes now, pointing out how horrible these philosophers' lives were, like actual lives. And they're like, and they're all saying what I've been saying for 30 plus years. Like, man, if this is where this philosophy leads, why would you ever engage in any of it? Right. This is your paramount of philosophical direction. That sounds horrible. I'll choose actually anything else. Thank you very much.
I think it would be better if I spent my paycheck. Yeah, like I should just go to a bar and get drunk every night.
Right. Well, that would be an improvement on like Nietzsche's life. My goodness. Like, going to a bar and getting drunk is more likely to get you married than Nietzsche.
Can we have a stream where we don't talk about Nietzsche?
No, he must be beaten up along with Sam Harris at all times. They are. This is our 2 minutes of hate here, Kirk. You cannot be a good citizen without the 2 minutes of hate.
Truth, not hate. Truth. 2 minutes of truth.
How about who's that French guy who would you beat up on him? The French guy.
Yeah, let's beat up on Foucault too. He was really evil, and Derrida.
Yeah, he was evil. Like, Foucault is evil. That guy we can beat up on. Nietzsche, I'm just saying, he had a miserable life. Poor guy. But Foucault, nah, he's staying in hell forever, I hope.
If he's in hell, he's there forever. So that's a piece of Catholic doctrine that you could have.
How about no, I meant the other guy who talks about time. The philosopher who talks about time, the French one. I'm trying to think, because I heard that he was Bergson. Bergson.
I haven't heard of him, but I probably won't like him.
Yeah,
like time isn't really worth talking about,
right?
Because it's just you know exactly what it is until you try to explain it,
right?
And
then you waste your time trying to explain it instead of just experiencing it, because it's happening to you. Like, it's that hard. Why do people rebel? It's happening. You're in time. It's fine. Just chillax.
It's just a measurement of change. And
I don't know
it goes in one direction. So
I don't know if you heard the Monty Python Philosopher's Song, but as it goes, Immanuel Kant was a real pissant.
Yep. They were all actually. He wasn't, but it's funny to think that he was. So that's a British slang. Like that song used to confuse me terribly until I looked up some British slang. And getting pissed is just British slang for getting drunk.
For getting drunk. Yeah.
And a pissant is somebody who just gets drunk a lot. So, so that explained things nicely. Yeah, but he wasn't. He was the most boring individual ever. He, yeah.
Just measure philosophers by did they have 10 kids and only one wife? If so, listen to them. If not, don't. Easy.
Johann Sebastian Bach, like 12 kids, one wife. Boom.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's one philosopher I can get behind. Bah.
Yeah, I guess he didn't even have to write words down. He's like, listen. No, just listen. And you just listen. You're like, oh, I get it. Like, I don't know how I get it, but I know that I get it. And if you're smarter, you can get more of it. But it doesn't matter because even if you're dumb, you can still get it. You know, brilliant.
Exactly. Well, and it's funny. All the propositionalists, the crazy age of gnosis people, always point to music. And then, of course, they run out of words, which just cracks me up. And yeah, like music is way more expressive than your stupid words. And maybe you should take a lesson from that and shut up, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to keep talking forever.
Maybe the solution is to just spin a record.
Exactly. Listen to some Beethoven Sixth. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Listen to the Brandenburg concertos, We got all sorts of correct answers on music there. It's just proportionality, release of tension, or building and releasing of tension, and then sometimes even a little bit of transcendent meaning. Like, what more do you want?
Eastern Thomist is back. Excellent.
I can't hear anything that Father Seitz is saying. There's like a big buffer on my screen.
Oh,
what?
Obviously, the demons.
On StreamYard, at least.
Yeah.
Demons.
Yeah. It's demons. Let me try leaving and rejoining real quick.
Good luck. Oh man.
Well, to be fair, aren't there some good non-Catholic philosophers who are post-Greek? Like, didn't
okay, that's better.
There was someone who wrote her dissertation on St. Augustine, Arendt, I think. So there are some people who are influenced by Augustinian and Thomist philosophy.
So I mean, we're not going to sit here and say that there was nothing at all good or useful written after Plato and Aristotle, but this is an opportunity for Mark to play one of his tapes. One of those tapes is his insistence that there are no actual philosophers after Plato and Aristotle, only theologians. And I don't know why that's such a big deal to him, but
yeah, he's right.
All philosophy is footnotes to Plato. This is an argument that philosophers have, and most of them fall on the all philosophies past Plato are just footnotes. I don't know what to tell you. This is something they say in their discipline. I reframe it a little bit hyperbolically just to drive the point home that you shouldn't be reading these retards. There's so much better stuff to read.
Okay. Oh, that's good enough for me. I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned a friend of mine who's unfortunately studying philosophy at a secular university. And he's like, all of this stuff is just nonsense and useless. And I'm like, okay, you're going to be just fine. Just wait till you get the Greeks. Everything's going to be better,
There you go.
Yeah.
And that, hearing me say that all of this stuff was just nonsense and useless, I think made him feel a lot better because, maybe he was the only one in the class who had noticed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people after Plato and Aristotle, the ones that tried to deviate just came up with ridiculous ideas to try and sound creative. Like David Hume is a great example. I mean, Hume is basically just no cosmological argument is bad. Everything's just in my mind, dude. Like every universal is just in your mind, dude. Like it's like, okay, I guess if a criminal is on trial, and they're like, oh, we saw your fingerprints on the gun, and all the evidence we've racked up, all the people we've talked to said you were in this location, and we found all this other forensic evidence. You could just say, oh, well, those universals were just in your mind. Clearly I didn't commit that crime because this evidence that shows, I did this. They're just thought to be universal concepts.
Yeah, and look, if you take Hume seriously, then there's no cruelty whatsoever in dousing a cat in gasoline, putting it in a cage, and lighting it on fire. Because what do you see? You see the cage, you see the cat, you see the fire, but where's the cruelty?
Yeah,
You can't sense cruelty.
Yeah.
There's no causal connection between these things. That's all just a habit of your mind. And if he's just going to have that kind of conclusion, then maybe he's just got bad starting principles and is working those out consistently. And you don't have to listen to him if you can just figure out what the bad starting principles are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I know about David Hume is that he could outconsume Schopenhauer and Hegel.
Dang. That's like an alcohol or food or both.
Well, the Monty Python philosopher's song I think was specifically referencing alcohol, but
probably he was Scotch after all.
Yeah, the Scots are pretty well known for their drinking. Yeah, you got to start with being as good, and you just use that one axiom and logic, and actually get to Catholicism reliably. So, just saying.
Won't get you in the church, though. And I don't know what happens outside the church. Extra ecclesiam nullus salus.
Whoa. That's why the dog-headed exist.
Enough of that. Enough of your silliness.
Dang. My silly. That's now one of two books, by the way, because this one is now for sale on the website that we have available on the Mark of Wisdom shop. So shop.markofwisdom.org has both of those wonderful tomes.
Your second one that you released recently, what can people do with it?
Start a community. Or fail at starting a community and figure out how to be in one as not the starter of the community. That's also an option.
That's a pretty good runner-up option right there.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. There's a lot of yeah. Well, we'll see. We don't have too many independent assessments yet, but those will be rolling in shortly, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, we'll see about it. And yeah, you can go ahead and hawk your book here. Let me see if I can find a link for it for all of the people who might want to buy it.
It's on the shop.markofwisdom.org website. Only 3 clicks away, I believe. You can get away with. Yeah, I mean, it's all about building community and understanding the components of community and how they fit together. And there is, although it's not available yet, a workbook. So if you're actually going to build a community, as the book suggests you really ought to do, you'll have a little workbook that you can keep track of your community building efforts with that took a great deal of time to put together. It's only been, depending on how you count these things, it's only been 14 months. So it's finally for sale. But it was about 14 months ago, I think I decided to actually put it together and convinced somebody to edit it. Because of course you're not an author if you don't have an editor up front, right?
The odds of whatever you're writing being good the first time.
Well, and by yourself from your own personal private perspective are vanishingly small, and maybe someone can do that, but maybe one person in a generation, and it ain't you. So that's good to know, right? And you know, probably the actual time it took to write it is much longer because a lot of that was cribbed from notes that were taken over 3.5 years, right? Of you know, being in the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis uh, Discord community that I built basically, and so that's kind of a big deal. You know, having that material to build from, and then having all the upgraded language and understandings and new experience because we had to build the new Discord server from scratch and stuff. So that was all helpful stuff, and a bunch of motivation from not only the artist who did the cover art and the art inside the book, but also my editor who was very excited about the book, and a few other people, of course, who contributed, all of whom are mentioned right inside the book. So they're all there, you know. And yeah, it's now available along with that nice little dog-headed book, and hopefully more people were. I think I've already got 5 orders. It's like official announcement hasn't even been made beyond this channel, and we already have orders because people were already on the shop looking for it. So that's kind of flattering. So we'll see what we get up to, and then hopefully the workbook will be out by January or something. I would think the end of January. Shouldn't be too long. That work's been done too. They're just buttoning up some stuff and deciding on, you know, colors and things. It's in a different format, and it's something that, you know, you can write in basically if you really need to, although not necessarily recommended, but also possible.
All right. Well, we'll wish you great success with that. And you know, I think it's dark outside, and I think it's time for bed.
The moon is
That's what a
bright.
rational creature would.
Okay.
Simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
Yeah. Merry Christmas,
Merry
y'all.
Christmas, Father. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Again, make sure no stream on the 29th. Spend time with your family or in prayer or with something useful. But good night and God bless you all.
Good night and
Good
God
night.
bless.